There you go.
Error occurred on Facebook.
Yeah.
Wait a moment and try again.
I see it. I see it. It's at the top of the screen. Now it says live.
Yeah, I see live now. It looks
Yeah.
like the Facebook one didn't go live right away.
Oh, okay.
There
Okay.
you go.
Yeah. What's
There
going
you
on,
go.
beautiful
Now
people?
all three are good.
Boo, boo, boo. I'm gonna close this stuff out real quick, please.
Uh,
I had to close out some windows. Whew. Had to do some Tony Robbins priming before I hopped on here. I was just like, I got a prime. Change my state, change my mental state. I was getting out of it. I'm back.
I ran in real quick and got it all set up, and then went to like start it, and it was like your browser's not supported because I was on my Mac. I'm always on my other one, so I had to switch over to Chrome last second.
Oh, yeah. Good old Chrome and stuff.
All right. Hello. Good to see everybody coming on.
J4. What's going on, y'all? Hope you're having a beautiful day today. A beautiful, fantastically beautiful day. Well, my neck support ain't. I don't want to pull it out. I need a new chair. I mean, a gaming chair. Somebody says, I see a couple questions coming in.
Let's see. There's one popping up.
Can you discuss the Narc Empath relationship, please? I don't. What are the dynamics of a narcissist empath relationship? I just know, like, I think most people think that narcissists attract empaths, or they are like we go out hunting empaths or something like that. But I don't think that's the case. I feel like empaths are highly empathetic people, where narcissists are kind of the opposite side of the coin. You know, I heard a lot of empaths and whatnot have went through similar trauma and had childhoods that way and whatnot, but just turned out to be highly empathetic, as opposed to how narcissistic people have the lack of empathy, or the more along the lines of the psychopathic people have the void of empathy and things like that. So the dynamic is give, take, take.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would say. No, my chat on that one.
No, absolutely. So
hi, Angels. Happy to see you, bro. What's going on, y'all? Hope you're having a beautiful day today. What's today? Today is Wednesday.
Hello.
It's Wednesday night.
This week feels like a whirlwind. So as of yesterday, officially done with Amazon. So we're Raw Motivations full time now. It's crazy.
Hey.
I'm so excited.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy how life can change in a year. It's insane. I told you, I was like, it's insane. It's crazy. I'm happy for you though. For real.
I can actually have like a semi-regular sleep schedule, and not be waking up at 1:30 in the morning.
I think I need your schedule. I think I need that 1:30 schedule. I have some quiet in the house.
Right.
I'm about to get up. Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Does a narcissist love bomb their adult children? I see my narc father-in-law doing this to my husband. I'd say yes to a certain degree. I wouldn't. It really depends on what they're getting out of it. You really like love bombing is all for the purpose of manipulating another person. If they can think that they're going to get something out of it, then I've seen that for sure.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that. They just like whatever they're trying to get something out of it, or push somebody else away. They're trying to take their spot.
Mm-hmm. Why would a cheating spouse who refuses to divorce still pay spousal and child support and honor all birthdays and holidays with gifts?
My personal opinion, that person doesn't want to get divorced and wants to hold the ownership over you still. That doesn't just want to let you go. Probably doesn't want to be with you, but doesn't want to see you with anybody else. And if they can, it's cheating if you go out and you because you're still married, it's technically cheating if you go out and do something else. So that's it's a mind game of ownership. Did it? What's that? Do you know when you've met an empath? Do you know when you met an empath? Do you know you steal their light and destroy them inside? Thanks, guys. Glad you're helping yourselves and others. I don't think people know that they are meeting empaths or codependent people or other narcissists, because Ben has had a narcissistic relationship experience. So have I with another woman. So it's not just like I think physical attraction plays a role into it. External validation plays a role into it as well. Like if you're giving that narcissistic person, if you're validating them externally more than somebody else, they're going to be attracted to you, kind of regardless of the looks. That's why you see narcissistic people sometimes downgrade. It's like, well, they downgraded and things like that. And also, I don't think most narcissistic people, your regular run-of-the-mill narcissist, the intent is not to start out to hurt somebody. It's not, it's not malicious intent. Like the intent is to satisfy, I feel like satisfy the ego of the narcissistic person, seek that validation, get that validation, and be self-serving. So the other person, while the narcissist is being self-serving, the other person gets hurt in the process. It's like something like collateral damage. You know, those are my thoughts on that right there.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. Will Narc ever take action, or is it all just ever talk? I feel like I need a little bit more context there to know what they're talking about.
Yeah, I feel like you reword that one a little bit, because take action is like, are they threatening you? You know.
Right. Sharon, thanks so much.
Appreciate you.
Every time I would try to set boundaries, my ex-narcissist would keep saying he is tired of begging me not to. Begging me not to. I guess maybe begging not to leave or not to set boundaries. I'm not sure.
Every time I would try to set boundaries, my ex-narcissist would keep saying he is tired of begging me not to. Not. I feel like that's another piece of that question, or something that got cut off or something. But I feel like that's not a full question. But begging, like narcissists and boundaries, narcissistic people don't like boundaries. So if you set any kind of boundary, they're going to push on that boundary regardless. Like, I don't like boundaries. If you try to set a boundary on me, I'm going to try to circumvent that boundary some way, shape, or form, just to make it benefit me. Because you don't get to tell a narcissist person no without something happening on the back end of things.
Right. There's the one going back to the idea of taking action. Is it all ever just talks, like love bombing talk? Says it'll change, blah blah. So yeah, that'd be like love bombing. That'd be like future fakings, for like the idea of like, hey, I'm gonna change, something's gonna be different, and then in reality, like, it never does. Like that's the hard part to be able to understand, because you normally can see an aspect of like, oh, they're going to change, and then they never do. Like, they never follow through, they never continue. And that's why boundaries and goals are so crucial, to make sure that you have those regardless of what they're going to do, regardless of what they're going to say. Those boundaries are for you.
I always say actions over words. What are the actions doing? Not the words. Because like, in patterns matter too. If it's just this repeated pattern of them not doing what they say they're going to do, what makes you think they're going to change down the road? Give me time, give me time, give me time. That's one of the things I hear all the time. Just give me some time.
Why would my ex-narcissist email me? He left me for his ex, and they're still together. Why would he respond to anything from me at all after he discarded me? So one of the things that I would point out, because I've seen this happen with a couple other people, is you're asking the question, and as it is phrased, maybe I'm wrong, but as it's phrased, why would he respond to anything from me after he discarded me, means that you probably reached out and he's emailing you back. So what I would be very careful of is, like, when you break up with a narcissist, when you discard, all that kind of stuff, when you're out of a relationship with a narcissist, you need to go no contact, and you make sure that you're focusing on your growth and your health. Otherwise, they'll keep coming back. They'll keep messing with you.
Yes. Yep. You need to be the side piece. Go from main person to the side person if you allow that to happen. I've seen it happen a lot too. It's kind of crazy. It really is. So, why, when you've hurt someone, you go silent instead of having a quick convo to clear the air and mess it all up? One word: shame. Well, two words: accountability.
Yeah. I feel like you use more of the silent treatment, right?
Oh yeah, I go silent quick, because I don't want to, like I said, you've done wrong, but you don't want to deal with it. And if silence works, so many of y'all, like, you want to communicate, like communication, you want to hear the voice, you want to communicate and whatnot. So if I take away the communication, then you ended up apologizing to me for something that I did to you. Quick convo doesn't happen. There's no quick convo. Like, when have you ever had a quick convo with a narcissist? It doesn't work that way, unless the narcissist is trying to get away from you. If I do something wrong to you, I give you the silent treatment, you beg for me to talk to you, then you end up apologizing. Sorry for doing that, and then back to normal. We don't have that quick conversation. We could go back to normal.
Right.
Normal.
Yeah.
My thoughts.
Why is image so important to a narcissist? If they don't care about other people, do they just care about what other people think about them? And if so, why, when they have contempt for the same people? Why would they have contempt for the same people? Yeah, so like the image idea is important, because that helps mask the aspect of shame. So like, the shame about themselves, shame about how they don't care about people, shame about how they're different, shame about what they've done, like whatever it might be. Like the aspect of shame is so important, of like keeping that image of being like a put together person or a perfect person, or that they have it all together, like whatever it might be, like being the best. You know, the image is the most important, and that's about how other people perceive them. In reality, like they don't care about the other people, they just care that other people think that they're a good person.
Yep. And also, image is how you get people into the relationship with you a lot of the times. Because I can have a bland ass personality, but if I look good and I present well, a lot of people will go for it. You know what I mean? They just, oh, you're successful and you look good, cool. No personality, nothing. There's no substance. There's nothing behind the scenes. There's just that image and whatnot. So, can witches be narcissists? I just saw a funny one there.
I see that. That's funny. Narcissist. Yeah. So it's talking about like whenever you're in a relationship with a narcissist. I was in one with a BPD/narcissist. If we experience the same mental emotional trauma, or if we realize who they are and got out faster than regular person, I guess, per se.
I just feel like in my relationship, I didn't know, like I was kind of ignorant to narcissism and personality disorders and mental health back then. So I didn't know what was going on. And I'm pretty sure she didn't either. It was just like it's just toxic. It was kind of, honestly, it's kind of fun being toxic together, but in the end, yeah, you go through some mental trauma on both sides and things like that. You put each other through the woodworks, put each other through what quote unquote hell and all the other good stuff. But like I said, nowadays, if it would happen nowadays, yeah, I feel like I would recognize the signs quicker than what I would when I was in my early 20s. I'm 36 years old now, so yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it definitely has like that mental trauma for sure.
Yes. Just anger.
This one, if I set a boundary and he discarded me for it, would that be considered a narc injury? No, I wouldn't say setting a boundary and him leaving you would be a narc injury because he's the one that left. No, I wouldn't classify that as a narc injury. Narc injury is normally when there's like an idea of, correct me if I'm wrong, but like an idea of like exposure or like complete like I guess in one sense almost like shame, but like it's complete like exposure in one sense to be like such a narcissistic injury where they might not contact again, or like I don't know, maybe you can expand a little bit more on that. But I wouldn't classify like a boundary and him leaving as a narcissistic injury.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I think Elon just joined the chat. I feel like narcissistic injury more along the lines would be something like you rejecting him. It's not you setting a boundary, it's you kicking him out. If you discarded him, that would cause narcissistic injury, as opposed to you setting a boundary and him leaving. That's not an injury right there. That's just him just like, man, F that boundary, I'm out.
Right. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
Here's one. When you look in the mirror, do you pump yourself up like I'm the best, or do you feel or think bad thoughts about yourself? I'm so bad, I'm so ugly, from your past or from your trauma? That's interesting. So kind of like your like self-talk. Like what's your self-talk sound like, I guess?
When I look in the mirror, my self-talk is a lie. I have to talk. So you can do the positive affirmations thing. Like that doesn't really work for me. I can look in the mirror. I like say the person that's looking back doesn't feel, I can look in the mirror. The person looking back doesn't feel like the same person. I feel like the mirror image of me and who I really am are different. You know what I mean? I feel like I reflect back a different person to who I really am. And it's kind of just, you know what I mean? It's all in you. I feel like it's all in here. I don't do the negative self-talk in the mirror. It's like I'm so ugly. I don't do that. I just I think I'm not good enough? Yeah, I would say that I'm not doing enough. I can do more. It's not just like I'm ugly, because I'd be lying to myself then.
I feel like I have like less like self-talk in one sense, But yeah, now you can see that.
Yeah.
The narcissist feels shame instead of guilt or remorse. Yeah, I mean, that's a big part of it. I mean, underlying the majority of narcissism, you have the aspect of shame. And typically that's underneath like a quick aspect of like guilt or like remorse. But yeah, I mean, shame is really like the huge part underlying it.
Yeah. Guilt and remorse are also on the spectrum for a narcissist. I did a video on TikTok about that recently. Like narcissists feel guilt, but it just kind of goes away really quick because they start blaming the other person for it. Like, God, this sucks. Why I do that? I shouldn't have done that. And then it's just like, wait, I shouldn't have done that. They made me do that. It's their fault. So it's gone quick. You know, my therapist said that's a spectrum of guilt and remorse. And then I saw somebody ask a personal question. Lee, somebody said Wordsmith 1982. I saw my name pop up. It said, Lee, how would you respond if your wife left again with the kiddos? I mean, honestly, how else would I respond? I think people think I would have a narcissistic injury or go into some rage or something like that. I would still, honestly, keep going to therapy. Because, you know, therapy is not for her, it's for me. So I would keep going to therapy. Would I be annoyed? Yes. Would I seek vengeance on the world? Also, yes. You know, because would I also be done with love? I'm pretty sure that's it. You know, I just feel like this is all the love I have to give for a woman right here with her. I just don't feel like if this ends, then that's it for the whole concept of romantic love for me. What I just wouldn't seek weddings and marriage and all the other good stuff. So that's how I feel, y'all. So this is it for me.
Yeah, absolutely. What are the thoughts that go through a narc's head when they're caught? Example, they get caught cheating and never thought they would, and the girlfriend finds evidence and calls them out. I think a big aspect of like immediate is like avoidance. Like, how do I get out of this? Like, how do I fix it? How do I fix it? How do I get out? How do I distract? How do I move past?
But my mind would immediately go to just quick, how do I get more time? So, but the way my mind works, honestly, yeah, I don't think I'm going to get caught, but my mind is always planning on it anyway. If back in the day, you know, but my mind would always just be plotting it out. If this happens, if this comes out, then I'm going to say this and this and this. So when the person catches you and says that, I already have something already in my mind to say. So it's not like I need silence. Like, what'd you say? Huh? You're lying. No, it's always like, no, what? No, let me tell you what's really going on. I knew this was going to happen, and I'm just smooth with it. It comes off smooth, and it comes off, you know, just kind of chill. I like to plan ahead, y'all. I plan too much. That's what my therapist also said, you know, a little sociopathy. So we're not going to dig into that though. I plan way too far ahead for stuff like that, honestly. Follow up to this.
Oh yeah, meet and greet. Would love to have you come to Dallas, Texas. We've actually been talking about meet and greet.
Was it Dallas though? Was it in Dallas or was it Houston?
I think they're talking Houston. That's a couple
Okay, it was Texas. Yeah, it was Texas. We're gonna be doing
stuff
soon.
It'd be easiest for Lee and me to do a meet and greet either in North Carolina or Virginia, though.
Yeah, we can do something here on the East Coast first to test it out because we think about doing like, you know, it's coming, y'all. Because like I feel like a caged animal. I feel like COVID caged me up, and I'm just, you know, I'm time to.
Well, I tell you what, in like 2 weeks or so, I'll we could run by the office space I'm looking at, and if it works out, we could just do something there too.
Oh yeah. I'm looking at one tomorrow too. I forgot to tell you. I'll tell you about that later.
Oh yeah. After discard, do you ever think of the supply, or do you just forget they existed?
You can't forget about it, but they existed. You know what I mean? But I feel like I would throw myself into whatever else I have going on to try to get over that person immediately, depending on how it ended. If that person left me, then I would be throwing myself into something else or trying to get that person back. You know, but like if I left that person, you're not gonna forget anybody, y'all. My mind doesn't work the way I remember, you know, a lot of people.
Right.
Not
yeah, I think a lot of times like with supply, like you never forget them per se, you know, but they don't like weigh on your mind like it would like an empath of like you're so like in love with them that you want to go back with them. It's more or less like you might not forget them because you're like, you know, how dare they like walk out on me, or how dare they like put up a boundary, or how dare they like, you know, say they don't, you know, want to be with me or like serve me, you know, like there's very much like self-pleasing thought kind of going through your head.
Yeah.
Why won't he accept being served with divorce papers? Oftentimes, like with like divorce papers and things like that, like sometimes they don't want to look. They want to keep control of that image, right? So a lot of times they won't admit what's going on, so they won't sign stuff. They won't accept it because they don't want to say like, "Hey, this is what's actually happening in my marriage." Maybe they're in a comfortable spot and they don't want to actually have that like show. Maybe they don't want it to come across that way to their friends, their family, their coworkers, things like that. So a lot of times they'll avoid the divorce papers so they don't have to deal with the time, money, or energy.
Yeah, agree. Discarded diva. Oh, hey, Amanda. It's the homie. What is that? Do narcissists know how manipulative and cruel they are? Or the games they play conscious to them? So I feel like in my self-awareness, I know how both of those are, how manipulative and cruel I have been. But back in the day, I swear it just felt like second nature. It's just kind of just like I'm living my life, and if I'm living my life trying to hit my goals, and the people got hurt in the process, you don't have to be in my life. I would tell people that you don't have to be here. You can leave. I would say that to people, and like if they stayed, then how is it being cruel if they stayed? That's how my mind used to work. Honestly, y'all, it still kind of work the same way now, but I understand the logic behind that. Just like if you were treating me the way that I'm treating you, I would leave. But you haven't left, so you must be okay with this. That's how stupid my mind used to work. Silliness, and
it's like justified.
yes, it would justify the shame. I tell you, my mind, the mental gymnastics are kind of crazy, y'all. It's just like it really is.
What's the best way to tell a narc off? I know it's not advisable. Don't expect change or closure. Honestly, this is just for me. I mean, honestly, the best way to tell a narc off is to sit down, write a long email, write a long letter, and then don't send it to them, because it's not going to go anywhere, and it's going to fall on deaf ears. But it does help on the healing process because you've actually got that out. So like I do a process for my own life called stacking with the warrior group that I also like work with people with like one-on-ones, where it's the idea of like processing that stuff like visually, like putting it on paper, which helps so much for sure.
Yep.
What if the two girls he used to talk to each other and he finds out he's caught? I mean, that happens. And
so that happens a lot right there, honestly. And one girl ends up going back to him. And I've seen it happen so many times. Like y'all team up, and it's like we caught you, you bastard. And then one of y'all end up going back to him. It's like, what happened? I thought we had the power going on. Like, yeah, I know you're out the picture now, so I can have him to myself. And then, so again, you don't want to do that again, but it happens.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, but it's the best advice you can give for dealing with narcissistic rage. Like, I guess probably like when it's actually like happening, how do you deal with it on the other end?
I feel like that's not a question. I mean,
I feel like depending on the person, like gray rocking is sometimes the best way, but sometimes gray rocking makes the rage come out even more. Really, it's kind of like a case by case basis. Like some places it might be like you need to leave. Some places it might be gray rock and it like slows down. Like it really kind of depends. But I mean, at the end, like they're trying to get a reaction out of you.
I would say separate. I mean, if do whatever it takes is to be safe, of course. But I just say separating yourself from that person, kind of diminishes the rage sometimes. Sometimes if you go in your room and lock a door, they might try to bust through the door. So some of y'all have the real ragey, crazy people, man.
Right.
That's scary. So
yeah. Yeah, I would say for me, like this person asks, like, how has your spiritual walk changed since becoming self-aware? For me, like my spiritual walk has like become a spiritual walk. In reality, I mean, it wasn't there. It was a fake walk. It was something that I'd professed, but it actually wasn't there. So I think that's one of the huge differences. There's a lot of things that's been changing in dealing with truth. Oh, here you go. You just made a video about this.
What is that? Do y'all think that Amber Heard is a borderline, or do you think that she and Johnny Depp were a tragic case of toxic borderline in a narcissistic relationship? So this is my mind right here. Like I said, we don't talk about Bruno or borderline personality disorder over here, but just kidding. But I mean, she actually got diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, which can be manageable. Y'all, borderline is not the end of the world. But the other thing, she actually also, the other therapist actually kind of cross-diagnosed her as histrionic personality disorder, which is kind of like a level up from narcissist. So it's just kind of like, it's like narcissists, on steroids or on some kind of stimulant. And
especially
just like
on the sex train.
Yeah. She was on a different level, So Johnny Depp, I haven't really looked into Johnny. I've been kind of focused on Amber because the spotlight is on Amber. Johnny has some substance abuse issues and things in his past, of course, but that doesn't necessarily make him a narcissist. But a lot of people, tend to kind of go back to what did Johnny do? Because yeah. But Amber Heard definitely got stuff going on, according to the psychologist.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of the videos and things like that, especially like the ones that she's recorded and things like that. And some people are like, "Oh, like he's a narcissist because of how he's
Yes.
acting." But I've also seen and caused people to react that way. Like
Yes.
I've caused people to act like incredibly crazy, just by my own actions. I mean, we're talking from like, screaming and hitting stuff in the house to, them being outside, screaming, waking up the neighbors and like throwing phones, I mean, like just crazy stuff. So like, it's really kind of hard to be able to look at like one video like that. But I think the other intention is like, when you look at a video like that, where he's going around and like yelling and, she's recording it, it's really like, what's the intention, behind like them recording? Because that's what a lot of narcissists will do to try to be able to prove like, hey, I just pushed someone, but you never see what leads up to it.
Yep. And another thing, I also heard her in a video, another recording, that she was pretty much saying, just like, she was antagonizing him. She was just like, go ahead, Johnny, tell everybody, go tell the world that a man is a victim of domestic violence. See if they believe you. See if they believe you over me. See if it's equal. I was like, she's like, go ahead. And I was like, damn. And she's like screaming it on the camera. I was like, I know you can get a reaction of people.
I saw a video the other day on TikTok, and I didn't go and like verify it, but like I saw a video on TikTok that like supposedly the what was it, like there was like a palette that like she claimed that she used to be able to cover up her bruises or whatever.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Like the palette company like called her out saying that didn't come out to like a year after they separated them.
Yeah,
There's
I saw that
too.
Everywhere. Yeah, I saw that too. And I was just like, I need to look more into that myself. That was just
I didn't
that's the only that's the only person I saw talk about that. I just feel like that would be everywhere. But I don't know.
Right.
I had to look more into it. Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot of stuff going on with it. Can you explain a little bit about what it's like right after you raged at someone? As far as like, I guess maybe like from the perspective, like when we rage out at someone, like what's it feel like, or what's it like right after?
Doing so my therapist told me, when I rage out, she asked me, she's like, what are you yelling and screaming? That's the most important thing. I was just like, nobody listens to me, nobody appreciates me, nobody hears what I'm saying or what I'm doing. But she's like, when you're raging out, when you're screaming and yelling, people are listening to you, aren't they? People understand. People are listening. People hear you now, don't they? I'm like, yeah. It's like you got what you wanted, but you what about getting it the wrong way? So she's like, so I bet when you finish the rage episodes, there's a lot of shame that comes behind it. Like you kind of retreat away from everybody. Which I do. After I rage out, I get away from everybody. I do. I have to go kind of calm down, and sometimes I'm embarrassed, so I get away from it. I'm just like, why'd I do that? Here comes the guilt. Here comes the shame, right. And then if she said this, if she didn't say that, it wouldn't happen. So the mental gymnastics. But now I stopped the mental gymnastics and I kind of sit in the shame a little bit, and I can actually genuinely have a conversation and try to genuinely apologize now, as opposed to how I used to do it. Just like, man, we'll get it over it, or she'll leave and I'll replace her. That's how my mind used to work. Like she'll leave and somebody else will be here. Who cares? Pride, ego.
Yeah, that's like literally that's like how it is with that cycle video that I've done, a couple different ones of just like, after the rage, you feel like the shame, then you go through like the guilt, the blame, you can go right back down to, if you don't stop it, like it just gets worse. Like you just get more pissed off. You just get more angry.
It's a good TikTok video right there. Who that question over? Joyce, that's a good TikTok video. I might put that up here tonight on my analytics. Let me pull up my remarkable to it right
there. Discarded Diva asked, have either one of us tried to manipulate our therapists, or have you weaponized it against your wives?
Who said that? Discarded Diva? Oh, that's Amanda. That's one of my peeps. Amanda, I tell Amanda story all the time. She's like my golden crown wearing survivor story, because she went from like the most devastating situation to like just empowered helping people now. So I love it. She went from victim to survivor to thriver, and I love it. But as far as manipulating therapists, I don't think I've tried to manipulate the therapist. But I think, well, you can kind of say it's manipulation now I think about it. I have told them bits and pieces of the story to get the feedback that I felt like I wanted. Because I knew if I told the whole story, it wouldn't be the feedback that I wanted. But nowadays, I'm being more honest, giving the feedback, wanting the feedback. So let me tell you the story right here. and you can tell, I know that I saying some off the wall shit, because she'd be like, God damn, I gotta stop talking. You know, you just get the right. What I say? You know, but so yeah, I would say I was trying to manipulate the therapist into telling me what I wanted to hear, but I haven't used that against my wife. Because I don't really talk about the therapy to her unless it pertains to her. You know, I kind of keep most of, you know, because most of the stuff is dealing with other issues not pertaining to her. It's like childhood stuff and past stuff before her. But when I talk about her, I do tell her. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like for me, like I did at the very beginning when we were doing like couples counseling, like year one after marriage, like there's definitely aspects there of like telling the therapist, I guess year two, but telling the counselor like certain things, or kind of like from a certain perspective, try to paint it in the direction that I wanted to paint it in one sense. But no, I wouldn't say now, not at all, with being with my therapist for over a year now, and Kayla and I doing like couples therapy now. Like it's a whole different ballgame, whole different goal,
Yeah. I also feel like marriage counseling, if y'all gonna do marriage counseling, which is not recommended with narcissistic people, make sure y'all get somebody that's versed in narcissism, because that's where the manipulation can really happen if they don't know anything. I remember my marriage counselor, she asked me and my wife, she's like, so are either of you in therapy right now? My wife was like, no, not me. I was like, yeah, I'm actually clinically diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder. I've been in therapy for 3.5 years. She was like, oh, okay. Hey, and I was like, nothing. I was like, nothing. No reaction. Cool.
Right.
It's terrible, but I was like, damn, she say that shit.
It's funny. Should I expect a Hoover or recontact if I exposed him for his cheating to his wife? Biggest fear of mine. Typically what I say is if it comes to the place where you exposed him and like there's a big aspect of either like shame or like, this would be along the lines of like that narcissistic injury. A lot of times I say that you have the highest probability of him not hoovering or recontacting you, but I never want to say never because you never know. But I would say you have the highest probability of it not happening, of not hoovering.
So yeah, so this is what I say. Prepare for the Hoover, but don't wait around for it, because then then you'll be waiting, you'll be waiting, anticipating it, and if it doesn't happen, you're like, was I not good enough? Was he not a narcissist? And then the questions start. Just prepare. Don't wait around. That's how my mind works. Casey, close the door.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Also, people commonly throw narcissism and sociopath together. They're different personality disorders. Can you help teach the different differentiation, and can they overlap? So yes, they definitely can overlap. A lot of people out there, a lot of psychologists, even people that we talk to as well, would say like you pretty much, a lot of times you pretty much can't be a sociopath without having narcissism with it. They're not really two completely separate things. There's different styles. There's different aspects to it. You could be narcissistic and not a sociopath, but typically as you get to the sociopath level, you already have underlying foundation of narcissism, I guess you could say.
Yeah, this is typically this is kind of how my therapist explained it, and a few other people I've talked to. They say all sociopaths are narcissists, because the narcissism is the bottom layer of the dark triad. It's like spectrum. Narcissism is the bottom. It's the bottom floor. You go up to floor number 2, you get the sociopaths, and then in the penthouse are the psychopaths, antisocial personality disorder. So as you can see, narcissists, are on bottom floor by themselves. Sociopaths are narcissists. Psychopaths are both sociopaths, and it's just how they explain it to me. It's just like I was like, okay, cool, because you can have a lot of you can have traits as sociopath and not be a full sociopath. Because like I said, I'm actually have a lot of sociopathic traits, just according to my therapist. But I'm not a clinically diagnosed sociopath because it doesn't sound as it doesn't roll off the tongue as well as except for a narcissist. Except for a sociopath, is just like he crazy, and the world would discard me.
Oh my gosh. What do narcissists do when they actually are alone? Apparently, we hate it. My therapist asked me a while ago. She was like, "Do you remember the last time that you weren't with someone or you didn't have supply?" And I was like, No, I don't. Because like we're going back all the way to like probably like 11, 12 years old in one sense of like always like having some form of supply. And like now, being where I am now, like I don't have like that aspect of supply, like from like a fair partner or from like that kind of a person in one sense. But it was hard because like she was asking me like, do you remember a time when you weren't with someone or there wasn't like a supply? And I was like, no, I don't.
I used to put a saying on my Facebook. I had two sayings on my Facebook. I used to kind of recycle them. One of them was, every day I wake up, I battle my demons. Sometimes they win, sometimes I do. And another thing I used to say was, I get so alone with my thoughts that they become my enemies. So I don't like being alone in that aspect of things because I hate it, because the dark thoughts start to kind of seep in and stuff like that. So I tell people now, like the last time my wife left me, immediately my mom went to just like, okay, time to hop on Tinder and do your thing. Like you've been preparing for this. Like you successful. You're out there in the world. You good. Let's get it. But then it's just like, being alone is what I needed though. I literally just posted a TikTok before I got on here about being alone. Like I had to be okay with being by myself, and that let me know I was on the right path, because if I can't be by myself, then I'm not actually bettering myself in any type of way. With the narcissist, that means I would always be dependent upon other people for external validation. So I feel like when narcissistic people get by themselves, their inner validation, their lack of ability to inner validate, it attacks you. He's like, I need some validation. I feel worthless right now without it. But I had to sit in the darkness. I was here screaming at the mirror. I had when I described it, it sounded like a psychotic break. I was looking at myself in the mirror, screaming, pointing, and crying in the bathroom floor. But I got up from that. I told you, the next day I started reading the Bible, and I feel like, honestly, like I said, God validated me. The Bible became my validation, y'all. I promise y'all. Like I said, I'm not just trying to get no religious chat, but like, honestly, I'm not here without God. I was seriously lost. I started reading the Bible, Genesis, Moses, Aaron, all that other Joseph. That's my boy Joseph. Throw it up to Joseph, because Joseph survived. That just feel like the Bible helped validate me. I found validation in the Bible, y'all.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think like the aspect of like when you sit alone, I love that. Like when you sit alone, it's like the shame that sets in, the validation that sets in, and like for me like the hard part was like for a good while, Kayla was like flip flopping, and part of that was because I was like drip truthing her. Like I was telling her one thing, and then a couple weeks later, I'd be like, oh yeah, there's something else, and then she'd like go back and forth between like I'm leaving or I should stay, I'm leaving or I should stay, and like for me, like the hard part was like changing my mindset as I was like getting help and like working on myself, because like then if she struggled for a moment and it was like I'm leaving, then my mind was like switched, like, okay, like how am I gonna do this? What am I gonna do next? Like it's just like very like forward thinking in one sense. It's really hard to be able to stop that and to work through that. And like even like now it's hard. Like we had a moment like a couple of weeks ago where like it wasn't like an argument, it was just more or less like we were trying to figure out something. We were both getting frustrated because we couldn't figure out the communication part of it. And like I had to kind of like step away from it and kind of like think through like it's okay that we're not communicating this moment, like we'll circle around and get to it. But like my mind immediately wanted to go to like, well, if we can't communicate about this, then we can't communicate about everything. Then what's the point of being here? Like I was like, holy cow! So I walked away from it for a little bit and then came back because I was like I can't let my thoughts like run away like they normally would.
Yeah, I started laughing. I've had that same experience. Like it's just like it's the snowball. It's just like we can't do this. Then it's just like
right. It's like if we can't agree on like what color to paint that one wall, then oh, I'm thinking of my future with someone in another like it's insane. And so like reeling that back in on a day-to-day basis or like that type is crucial.
Yes.
Would you guys be willing to help narcissists? So I do every once in a while. I talk to narcissists.
Yeah.
I know Lee talks to them. There's a couple. Part of, I know Lee's platform especially was on here originally to help narcissists and to get them into therapy, get more guys into therapy, period. There's a couple that I talk to that, we talk on a consistent basis, trying to help implement some changes, some growth. A lot of people, I want to say 95% of all narcissists I talk to never come back.
Yeah. So I talked to I think today was one of my favorite like one-on-ones I did. I actually had a one-on-one with like a 19-year-old boy who thought he grew up with a narcissist dad, and he was just like he resonated with a lot of my videos. And I was just like, damn, 19 years old. I said, dude, narcissists are not like now is the perfect time for you to work on yourself because like you young enough to catch it. Like I started kind of catching it when I was 21, 22. That's when I started listening to Tony Robbins and all the other good stuff, you know. But I was just like, dude, are you talking to me? I was like, me and him had a good conversation. He was like, yeah, I was like, I love talking to him. I said, I like talking to like-minded people. That's why I like talking to you because you get it, you know. It's just finding somebody who gets it is the tough thing about it because a lot of, you know, would I help narcissists? I talked to a lot of men and women. I talked to quite a few women who think they're narcissists too. This is like, this is not just like the man convincing that they were narcissists. No, they were doing some toxic shit. Just literally, I did this and this and that. I'm like, you toxic. You know, I can feel the energy. I was like, yo, energy. I don't know. I can read. It just sounds like some psychic medium type. So like, the energy be coming through the computer. So I'm like, your energy. I'm like,
Right.
you got something going on. They were like, oh yeah, I do. I was like, yes, you do. You know, but I'm willing to talk to anybody. I'll talk to anybody. You know, just keep. As
My
long as people
therapist
try to be
described it
respectful.
sometimes as like some people that have certain doors open, like spiritual or like energy
Mhm.
doors, I guess you could say, like open.
Yes.
And it's crazy because like after her and I went through it, because I talked to her about it because I had a couple people like a couple times like at work like either hit on me or like try to say stuff, and like some of them were people that already knew about my platform, and
Yeah.
it's like one thing if it's like over social media, like it's like okay, like that's gonna happen, but like when
Yeah.
it's actually in person and you have someone be like, hey, like I hope you divorce your wife, like you're just kind of like, okay, like this is not like a healthy spot to be in,
Yeah.
but like saying that to my therapist and kind of like talking through some of that, she was like, sometimes there's going to be people that they just have these like doors open, these like literally she called them like spiritual doors or like sexual doors or
Mhm.
stuff like that, and you can
Yeah.
pick up like these vibes from them. And then like later on after she told me about that, like going through one-on-ones and talking to a couple of people, like there's sometimes I sit down, I'm like, there's a door open here that like I'm like backing away from, 'cause you can like feel it. It's like creepy sometimes.
Mhm. Yeah. I'm just telling you, it's just like your energy.
Some
I can feel it. I swear.
right. Yeah,
uh,
no, it's very
so
true.
did you? It says, did you ever lie about what kind of trauma you went through in your past to make your victim feel bad for you? My ex always had the most insane stories. I can't imagine it's all real. I don't feel like I've lied about my trauma. If anything, I'm just like the type of shameful
Kept it
person that
hidden.
likes to kind of work. Yeah, I kept it to myself. I am.
Hmm.
If I'm sharing trauma with somebody, it's to get somebody to feel bad for me because I've done something. You know, it's just not.
Hmm.
I'm just not gonna be an open book on my first date and just like, look, you know, I'm adopted, right? Or something like that. It's just like the
Yeah.
very first date. You know, it's just like my dad used to beat me. Like, what's your first name? Yeah, I mean, we the appetizers are not even here yet. You talk about getting your ass beat as a kid. You're like, what's going on here? You know, what's this? I feel like they're sharing trauma with you. They're trying to get forgiven for something. They're trying to make an excuse for something. That's just my take on it right there. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of times I feel like a lot of narcissists like hide their trauma. But I mean some lie about it. I don't feel like
Mhm.
that's a I guess you could say like a mainstream narcissistic thing to lie about trauma. Maybe
Yeah.
exaggerate some, which is the same thing as lying. So like I'm not trying to contradict myself, but like that's the same aspect. But I know a lot of times when I've talked to some narcissists and figured out some of the stuff that they've gone through, like it's some pretty like scary and dark stuff.
Yeah.
That's like
Yep.
made him that way. Why would a narc wind someone up and use trauma to get a reaction and have a camera ready for a show to make you look crazy? Exactly. That's really what it is at the very end, to make you look crazy. Because if they can make you look crazy, then they look normal. If they look normal, then they can keep their image. They can keep their image. They can do whatever they want, and then they can get out of a relationship. They don't feel bad about it. They don't have to worry about anything, and everybody supports them. When in reality, they're the one abusing you.
Yep. I would agree with them.
Yeah.
Do you ever blame your ways on being a narcissist? Like if you were to slip up and make a mistake, uh, could I? Could Ben? Yeah, 100,000%. You definitely could do that. I'm a narcissist. What more do you expect from me? Which would be what a lot of people could do to go to therapy to weaponize the therapist against you.
Mhm.
I'm a diagnosed narcissist. What more do you expect? I can't change. There's no cure. But do I do that now? I feel like now I'll be scapegoated and trying to run away from what I've actually trying.
Mhm.
It would be disingenuous to blame it on being a narcissist. Could I? Yeah, I could definitely do it. Have I thought about it? Like I can say some evil shit to you right now. Yeah, I can just say, hey, I'm a narcissist. What do you expect from me? But
Right.
but again, that would be disingenuous. 'Cause I don't want to use that as an excuse because it means narcissists are bad people. I don't want to add to that stigma that all narcissists are evil, toxic ass people. You know what I mean? So
Mhm. I think now with being self-aware, there's not an aspect that I blame blame myself on being a narcissist. I feel like there is times where it comes up, now even with everything that's gone on as far as like a joking, but it's not an aspect of like blaming to avoid accountability. It's more or less like, oh crap, like I forgot to have empathy in that moment. Yep, I'm a
mhm.
narcissist, like different stuff like that. But it's also not being done like malicious or like an incident like that.
Yeah.
How would a typical narcissist react to someone they're dating having a minor injury? He didn't ask how I felt about the injury and was angry I needed the rest and couldn't see him. Yeah, so that's fairly typical for a narcissist because your minor injury is being an inconvenience to his needs because that is more important than anything else in the world. And you getting a minor surgery or something like that is putting him out because you're not there to serve him hand on foot, which is your sole purpose as an object and as that person's servant in one sense
Yes. And
as well.
that surgery takes away from the attention that that person is supposed to be getting. The focus is on you right now. So
Mhm. Narcissists don't like that.
can children develop narcissism from a narcissistic parent? I would say, yeah. I just like if it depends on the type of trauma they experience. I feel like we got a few narcissistic people that under the guise of empaths coming at us on TikTok. Just that I was raised by a narcissist parent. I'm a good person. I want to attack everybody. I feel like yeah,
Right.
there's a few on TikTok that do that now. I just feel like could narcissistic parents raise narcissists? Yeah, but you can also become an empath from that as well. You can also
Right.
become a codependent person or has a borderline person. What it really depends on your response to the catalyst in that situation, and the catalyst being the trauma that narcissistic parent puts you through. So yeah, that's a possibility. I would say.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of times this is where it comes to the aspect of people asking, are narcissists formed? Are they born?
Yes.
And I think a lot of it does come back to their formative years, growing up, and especially, people try to get the idea or think like, oh, like they're a narcissist, like they end up just passing it on generation to generation. Like it's just born, it's just innate, and I don't believe that, but I do think a lot of times it appears that way whenever you have like a narcissistic parent that's modeling those same traits in front of the next generation. The next generation doesn't have the emotional safety or support to be able to handle that, so they end up just replicating that, time and time again.
Yep. What's that? My soon-to-be ex-husband narcissist is ignoring our kids and has replaced our kids with supply and kids with the supplies kids. Is this normal? Yeah, yeah. They will discard you and the kids and start a whole new family. They will do that. They will absolutely 100% do that. Yeah, because you did something to
Mhm.
them to punish you. It's kind of like f them kids and f you.
Mhm.
If I can't have you, I don't want, if I can't have you, then I don't want the kids either. It's a package,
Mhm.
you're a package deal. And you get evil bastards that do stuff like that, y'all.
Yeah,
Discarding your children is an act of evil. You know,
definitely.
change my mind.
Cost benefit question: should a victim stand up to a narcissist who is taking money, cheating, etc.? If so, how? With a therapist? If no, how to combat mistreatment?
I feel like there's a lot going on there. Money, cheating, and etc. And etc. I just feel like what is the etc. Other than
Um,
physical.
to stand up. So I mean, there's an aspect that like you can stand up by removing the options. You know, a lot of times like standing up necessarily looks different to some people than what people normally think. Like normally people think like, oh, I'm going to stand up and I'm going to tell them how it is. Well, then you
Yeah.
do, and the end of the day, you get hit with the word salad, circular reasoning, and you
Mhm.
realize you haven't done a single thing except wasted time, money, and energy on that whole conversation.
Mhm.
So, like understanding, like, hey, if they're taking money, cheating, etc., whatever that is, like there's not an aspect of standing up as far as like in person or like doing something. It's more or less like how are you protecting yourself, how are you validating yourself, and what do you need to do to continue that growth for you.
Yeah. I was just saying this situation right there because, like I said, it's like you're going through a lot in this situation. So I was just like, stand up, get your bearings, and take off running in the other direction. Because I was like, if this person is doing that, that's how you stand up to them. You know what I mean? That's how you stand up to this person by vacating. I feel like vacating the premises if possible. Because I don't tell everybody to leave, but right here, taking money, cheating, and etc. I'm focused on the etc. Yeah, I'm sorry, but taking money, cheating, and the etc. Just like with a therapist, what are you gonna do? How you gonna stand up with a therapist? You know, I feel like that's so you would be saying, how do you stand up to? How does the victim stand up to a narcissist who is taking money, cheating, manipulating a therapist, and etc. You add that to it. So I just like take the therapist out the equation because cheating and taking money, you be in therapy for years with no results. You know what I mean? Combating mistreatment. Put
Right.
your Saucony's on, you know, and take out running.
When you ask a narc to give you a reason why they love you and can't come up with anything else but the way you make me feel and won't even explain that, what does it mean? I think I had a fairly big video that blew up when one person stitched it whenever they were like talking through a bunch of stuff because I asked people, I was like, "Do you want to trip up a narcissist? Ask them like the ways they love you, you know, or
Yeah.
ask them like how they love you or whatever." And you know, like the aspect of them understanding and then saying like, "Oh, like the way you make me feel," or the way this. You know, it's always like hollow because they don't know how to be able to describe it because they don't have those feelings and they're just trying to model and pretend. They're trying to keep that mask, and when you do that, a lot of times you see a little bit of a mask slip because they're like, "Wait a second, this wasn't in my protocol of like how to pretend to be an empath." And all of a
Mhm.
sudden, they're like, "Wait a second, like I have to figure out what emotion I'm supposed to feel." But a lot of times they don't connect it with actual events, actual pieces.
Yeah, that happens a lot right there. But I always feel like one of the best explanations about love came from a speaker I follow named Simon Sinek, and he did that in a crowd. Close the door, man. Close the door, Kingston. Thank you. He did that in the crowd. He was like, he was in the crowd. He's doing a motivational speaking event, right? He asked the husband and wife, do you love each other? And they looked at each other like, yeah, I love him so much. And he was like, okay, perfect. Why do you love him? And she was like, she was like, well, he's a looker. Yeah, he makes me laugh. He gets me. He's kind to me. He's sweet. He's just the sweetest person. He's like, okay, cool, cool. He said, thanks for sharing that. Love it. He's like, okay, I'm literally all those things you just described. Do you love me? She's like, no. He's like, why not? You just said those are the reasons you love him. I'm the exact same thing. Why don't you love me? And she was like, because I don't. He said, perfect, because you don't. Because it's like love is action. Love is not just, you can't just, it's kind of indescribable. It really
Mm,
is. And I was just like, oh, I was like, see, I love that. He's like, love is a chemical
that's pretty
reaction
cool.
that makes you feel stronger for one person than it does for another person. This is the only way you
Mm,
can explain it. You can't describe love with common adjectives. You just can't do it because that means you love more than one person. You know, because the description, he's kind, he's funny, he's like, I'm everything you want. I'm everything you want. You gonna leave him for me? You don't
mm.
love me? She's like, no, I don't. And she was like, I was like, hey, I love that. I heard
That's pretty cool.
that. Yeah, I love that one. I was like,
I
damn.
put up that one video trying to respond to someone asking like, so like I don't love my wife or whatever, and like that thing was all like crazy. People trying to tear me up for saying like, yeah, like by my actions, like I do think I love my wife because they're like,
Yeah.
oh, think like,
Yeah, they think, yeah. But like I
uh,
said, again, I turn it back on them. Why do you love your person? And they would use the common adjectives, common descriptive words, and things like that because
mm,
it's not you can't describe it. It's literally
mm,
actions. It's an action word. It's just like you can say you love somebody and cheat on them and treat them terribly. Is that love? Do you still love that person? You can say I love you and punch somebody in the face. You can say I love you right after you punch somebody in the face. Is that love? Does that person love you? What did the actions say? Take the actions over the words.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's one for you.
Let this go, Mom. I saw you pop in here. Lee, does it trigger you, your younger inner you, to parent your oldest son? And so, how do you deal with past memories versus present reality? So, yeah, that's one of the things that gets to me the most. Is I think I did a podcast about this a long time ago, because I've been, he's been, a catalyst for me being better. He's 13 years old. I told you I've been working on myself for 14, 15 years. So when I found out my ex was pregnant with him, I saw I gotta be a better person. So I started getting into personal development after a few other things happened, and he has seen the worst of me, and now he's seeing the best of me. But I always think about the worst of me. So I'm working on just showing him the best of me. Sometimes I feel like I'm overcompensating by trying to do too much to make up for the other stuff I've done in the past. I do, and it sucks. But my therapist said the best thing you can do is be the best version of you right now, because all my kids are going to get different versions of me. My oldest son, he's got 5 years. He's 13 years old. So he's had from 7 to 12, 13 years old with me being in therapy working on myself. My youngest son, he's the one I was screaming at as a baby when my wife called me a narcissist. So he's, he, in his infantile state, I was yelling and screaming at him. My daughter, she's 1, and I've been in therapy her whole life. So she gets a totally different version of me. All of them get different versions of me from different stages. So yeah, it's tough. It's tough, but I only thing I can do now is I'm gonna go back in the past. The only thing I do now is work and talk and be open. He follows my TikTok. He see me. He sees me. I get recognized in public. He's like, his name is Mental Illness. He happy. Yeah, he sees it. He sees the work. You know what I mean? He told me, he's like, yeah, you don't yell as much anymore like you used to. I'm like, damn, that's progress, I guess. Like you used to. I mean, I used to yell. It sucks to hear you used to yell, but like I don't yell as much no more. So I'm working. So yeah, it doesn't trigger me, but it makes me think a lot.
21, and after losing my 2.5-year relationship, I want to address my narcissistic tendencies. Being alone is the hardest part. Yeah, no, for sure. Like being alone is the hardest part. Like sitting in that shame, sitting in that aspect of like understanding, the narcissist inside, the monster inside, like living with that and actually understanding like what's going on and being real with that is probably one of the hardest things. That's why like we both like genuinely try to encourage a lot of people to get into therapy and to work on those things. And, even just at times, like talking to either one of us, a lot of times people schedule one-on-ones that are narcissistic, and they're trying to be able to see like maybe some tools or tricks that we've learned even through therapy or working with our own tendencies of how to mentally battle those demons in your head in one sense. So yeah, keep it up.
Yes. Perfect.
My significant other saw me lose a job opportunity and showed no empathy. When I finally left, he sent letters saying he should have supported me more. Total narcissist, right?
So my significant other saw me lose a job opportunity and showed no empathy. When I finally left, he sent letters saying he should have supported. Oh yeah. So yeah. So I'm not gonna say total narcissist. I'm gonna say total manipulator, at least total toxic person, at least, because the fact that he said that in a letter without you saying something about it just shows you that he knew he should do it, but he did it on purpose. He's intentionally. Damn, I should have been more caring for you right there, shouldn't I? Which he just know again, which just lets you know that he knows that he was being intentionally manipulative or intentionally withholding empathy in that moment right there. But again, from the caveat of being a narcissist, sometimes you can't control that shit. Sometimes they might want to be like me personally. I've seen my wife crying. I wanted to console her, but something in me was just like, nah, she'll be fine, and I just leave her alone. Honestly, it's just like something. I'm not making excuses for that person. I'm just saying, don't take that person back. They clearly made you unhappy. I'm just saying that's how my mind used to work. When she would be crying, like, I should console her right now. She'll be fine. Go the other way. She'll be all right.
Yeah. I had a thought I was going to say, but I completely forgot what it was.
It'll come to you.
Oh yeah. So a lot of times people get stuff like this, but it's not after the relationship. It's right before the end of the relationship. So like, say you're with a narcissist for a year, 6 years, 20 years, whatever, and you're always like, hey, I need love, affection, communication, whatever. and you run into communication issues, like all this different stuff. You're like, hey, we need to go counseling. I want you to get a therapy, all this kind of stuff. And then you say, okay, I'm done. I'm finally leaving. And you're ready to leave. And they're like, wait a second. Here's my love. Here's my communication. Here's my respect. And I'm going to therapy and I'm doing all this stuff. And it like changes like in an instant. And you're like, wait a second. What's going on? Maybe I should stay. Maybe I should give hope and all this type of stuff. But you have to remember, and a lot of people don't break it apart this way to be able to think of this. You have to remember they didn't have an epiphany overnight. Like it didn't all of a sudden click and all of a sudden they're performing at all this stuff that they've not performed at the entire time. What it shows is that quick switch shows that their manipulative tactics that they've been able to use for such a long period of time finally stopped working. They realize it stopped working because you're actually getting ready to walk out the door and they change it. And the thing that most people need to understand is when they change it, that manipulative tactic, when they change it, the thing that you have to understand is that means they knew it the entire time. And most people, like when they really understand that, it's kind of like a big breakthrough for them, because then they understand it wasn't that they just didn't get it and all of a sudden they changed. No, they got it the whole time, but the whole time they made the conscious effort to not acknowledge your feelings, to not love you, to not respect you, and to not honor you by being faithful in the relationship.
That was fire. That's the thumbnail right there. That's the trailer.
Save the best for last, since I'm wrapping up here. It's already an hour.
Yeah, that's how you wrap. That's how you wrap it up right there. No more questions. No more questions.
Let's see. So I got this last question here, and then that's all I have started actually, and then we'll wrap up here, guys. Thank you guys so much. When you have a mental breakdown by surprise, how do you deal with it? What does your significant other do? Interesting.
I would call it. I say mental breakdown. I feel like this. I don't think I have mental breakdown. I feel like I do have the rage incidents, or I have times when I just like when the work doesn't work. You know what I mean? When I fall, I would say when I kind of fall off the wagon, kind of like, you know, if I was in AA, like if I was in Narcissist Anonymous, I fell off the wagon, had a rage incident or something like that. You know, like if I slip up, I immediately start apologizing. Because in the moment, I might do something in the moment, like, you know, throw some shit. I might go just rage out and throw something. But I was like, dang, immediately, I know I did it wrong. But here comes the justification in my mind. It's like, well, if this wouldn't have happened, that wouldn't happen. I stop it. I'm like, nope. You got to sit in the shame of it right now and deal with it. And the sitting in the shame hurts. And the fact that I can sit in the shame and just apologize, like, look, I 100% know I should not have done that. That was it was wrong. I know it was wrong. I'm gonna try my hardest not to ever do that again. I can't promise I'm never gonna do it again, because that's how if there would be a lie. I don't want to sit right there and lie. I'll never do it again. I do it again. That's a lie. So I'm telling the truth in the moment. I'm gonna try my hardest, which I have been doing for the last 5 years. I'm going to try my hardest to not do that again. And my patterns have shown that when I say I'm going to try my hardest at something, I actually get it done. So I think that's the difference between me, like you, and a lot of other narcissistic people who are putting in the work than not the non-aware narcissists, the non-self-aware narcissists. They say some stuff, they don't follow up with it. There's no follow through with it. You know what I mean? We follow through, and there's been a consistent pattern of consistent change behavior to let people know that they're going to follow through, and that's what I've been on.
Yeah, I think for me, like any type of like a mental thing or like mental breakdown, or like, I don't know, maybe like emotional revealing or kind of like mental like screwage in one sense. Like for me, I have to process some of that like on my own. So like I have to like get away. So like before, like in the past, like sometimes what I do is I drive, you know, like I mean I've gone from Virginia down to North Carolina and back, you know, like just like driving, trying to like clear my head. And also for me, a lot of times some of the stuff that recenters me is music actually. So like, you know, for a long time, like music for me helps me engage at a certain level with like emotions that I feel like a lot of times I can't engage with. So like a lot of times I can communicate how I'm feeling through like some type of music versus like actually being able to put words to it. And so like, you know, I had different songs that would, you know, like pump me up, you know, different stuff like that. But then I also had different songs that would like calm me down, that would take me through like I guess you could say like a musical emotional journey and bring me to a place where it actually like smooths me out some. and then sometimes would have to like process stuff like on my own, because I mean that's partly of like what I did at times like growing up. Like it'd be that compartmentalization. I'd open up the box, I'd take out that emotion of like, what would I feel like if this person died in my life? How would I process that? Okay, got that taken care of. Now, if they do die, I don't have to worry about it. Like that's literally like the thought process. But a lot of those like dealing with those type of emotional things were done very compartmentalized and then put away.
Yes. Yep. I agree with that. Like I said, yeah, that's the thumbnail for the video right there, y'all.
But anyways, well, that was a quick hour actually.
Yeah, flew by.
I feel like once we got past like 20 minutes, it felt like it just like flew very fast.
Yeah, it gets to flying, y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in and supporting the channels and whatnot. Like I said, if y'all follow Ben, follow me, follow everybody, y'all. Follow everybody. It's a journey. It's a journey.
Yeah.
It's a healing journey.
Very
100%.
much so. Thank you all so much for being here. If you guys haven't, check out both our pages. We both do one-on-ones. We both talk to survivors daily and also people with narcissistic traits. If you get a chance, check out the N.A.R.C app, N.A.R.C, Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Community. It's a community of like-minded people that are working on bettering themselves, learning about narcissism so they can be better prepared as they continue to grow through their future and to be able to grow, heal, and change in all aspects of their life. So be able to check that out. We got some new things coming down the pipe. Got a new boundaries course actually. Bree, Abuse is Abuse, is actually working on doing a boundaries course. It looks really good. Super excited, but that's going to be coming out, I believe, mid-May on the N.A.R.C app. So we're excited about that too.
Nice. There you go.
Sweet.
Perfecto.
Awesome. Well, y'all have a great night. Thanks so much.